After 65, your body can't handle the same risks it could at 40, so why are you still eating, touching and visiting things that could put you in the hospital or worse? In the next 15 minutes, you'll discover 15 specific things you must avoid after 65. 5 dangerous foods, 5 things you should never touch without protection, and 5 places that pose serious health risks to aging immune systems. And here's something that will shock you. The third food on this list seems perfectly healthy, and doctors used to recommend it regularly. But recent CDC data shows it's behind thousands of senior hospitalizations every single year. These aren't theoretical risks or rare occurrences. These are documented dangers that your weakened immune system and changed body chemistry can't fight the way they used to. Last year, Johns Hopkins Medical Center reviewed emergency room admission data and found that thousands of completely preventable senior hospitalizations came from eating specific contaminated foods, touching infected objects, and visiting high-risk locations. The seniors involved had absolutely no idea these everyday things posed serious dangers that younger people can often tolerate, but that older immune systems and bodies simply cannot handle anymore. Food 1. Raw or undercooked eggs. Your digestive system and immune response change dramatically after 65, making foods that were perfectly safe for decades suddenly dangerous. Raw or undercooked eggs top the list of foods that can hospitalize seniors. The CDC reports that salmonella infections from eggs cause severe illness in older adults at rates far higher than in younger populations. Your stomach acid becomes less potent with age, meaning bacteria that would have been killed in your digestive system at 40 can now survive and multiply after 65. Additionally, your immune system responds more slowly to infections, allowing bacterial infections to become severe before your body mounts an effective defense. The FDA warns specifically that seniors should never consume raw or undercooked eggs because the risk of serious food poisoning is simply too high. Salmonella food poisoning in seniors isn't just unpleasant stomach upset. It causes severe dehydration, hospitalization, and can be fatal. What a younger person recovers from in a few uncomfortable days can land you in the hospital for a week or more. The bacteria multiply rapidly in your intestinal tract, causing violent diarrhea and vomiting that depletes your body of fluids faster than you can replace them. Older bodies don't recover from severe dehydration as quickly, and the infection can spread from your intestines into your bloodstream, causing sepsis. Research from Johns Hopkins shows that seniors hospitalized with salmonella infections have significantly higher mortality rates than younger patients because their bodies simply can't fight the infection as effectively. Edith, a 72-year-old from California, ate eggs Benedict at a restaurant and ended up hospitalized for 6 days with severe salmonella poisoning. She had eaten runny eggs her entire life without problems, but her aging immune system couldn't handle what it once could. Here's what you must do immediately. Only eat eggs that are cooked until both the white and yolk are completely firm. Avoid sunny-side-up eggs, soft-boiled eggs, poached eggs with runny yolks, and any dishes made with raw eggs like homemade mayonnaise, Caesar dressing, or hollandaise sauce. When eating out, specify that you want your eggs fully cooked. If you're unsure whether a dish contains raw or undercooked eggs, ask before ordering or simply don't eat it. This applies to baked goods too. Avoid raw cookie dough or cake batter. Check egg preparation starting today. What you could safely eat at 40 can hospitalize you at 70. Food. 2. Unpasteurized dairy products. Unpasteurized or raw milk, cheese, and other dairy products contain bacteria that can cause life-threatening infections in seniors. The Mayo Clinic has published extensive warnings about Listeria bacteria in unpasteurized dairy products, which poses extreme danger to anyone over 65. Listeria can survive and even multiply at refrigerator temperatures, unlike most bacteria that cold storage controls. Your immune system after 65 cannot fight listeria infections as effectively as it once could, and these infections have a mortality rate of 20 to 30% in older adults. Raw milk products are often marketed as healthier or more natural, but for seniors, they're simply dangerous. The CDC tracks listeria outbreaks and consistently finds that seniors account for the majority of deaths from contaminated dairy products. The infection from unpasteurized dairy products can cause severe illness that starts with flu-like symptoms, but rapidly progresses to bloodstream infections, meningitis, and death. Listeria has a particular ability to cross into your bloodstream and reach your brain and other vital organs. In seniors, this progression happens faster because weakened immune systems can't contain the infection. Studies from Johns Hopkins demonstrate that older adults infected with listeria require longer hospitalizations, have higher complication rates, and face significantly greater risk of death compared to younger infected individuals. The bacteria can incubate for weeks, meaning you might not connect your illness to the cheese you ate a month ago. Nelson, an 80-year-old from Vermont, became critically ill after eating artisan raw milk cheese he bought at a farmer's market. He spent 3 weeks in the hospital fighting a listeria infection that nearly killed him. Here's exactly what you need to do. Only consume dairy products clearly labeled as pasteurized. Read every label carefully before buying cheese, milk, yogurt, or any dairy product. Avoid soft cheeses like brie, camembert, feta, and queso fresco unless the label specifically states they're made with pasteurized milk. When shopping at farmers markets or specialty stores, always ask whether dairy products are pasteurized. If the seller doesn't know or says they're raw, don't buy them. At restaurants, ask about cheese preparation if ordering dishes with soft cheeses. The slight taste difference isn't worth risking your life. Read labels on all dairy products this week and eliminate any unpasteurized items from your refrigerator immediately. Food. 3. Raw sprouts. Raw sprouts, including alfalfa, bean, and broccoli sprouts, seem like healthy additions to salads and sandwiches, but they're behind frequent and serious food poisoning outbreaks in seniors. The CDC and Johns Hopkins both warn that raw sprouts pose significant health risks because of how they're grown. Sprouts require warm, humid conditions to germinate, the exact same conditions that allow E. coli, salmonella, and other dangerous bacteria to thrive. If seeds are contaminated with bacteria before sprouting, the bacteria multiply to dangerous levels during the growing process. Washing sprouts doesn't eliminate the bacteria because they're not just on the surface, they're inside the plant tissue. For seniors whose immune systems can't fight infections effectively, even small amounts of these bacteria can cause severe illness. Food poisoning from contaminated sprouts causes the same severe dehydration, hospitalization risk, and potential complications as other foodborne illnesses. But sprouts are particularly dangerous because people often eat them raw in large quantities, thinking they're making healthy choices. The FDA specifically advises that children, seniors, pregnant women, and anyone with compromised immunity should avoid raw sprouts entirely. Research shows that cooking sprouts kills the bacteria, but few people cook sprouts. They add them raw to salads, sandwiches, and wraps. Outbreaks linked to sprouts have hospitalized hundreds of seniors over recent years, with some cases resulting in kidney failure and death. Claudia, a 76-year-old from Oregon, prided herself on healthy eating and added raw alfalfa sprouts to her daily salad. She developed severe E. coli infection that hospitalized her for 10 days and caused temporary kidney damage. Here's your solution. Completely eliminate raw sprouts from your diet starting today. Don't add them to salads, don't order sandwiches that include them, and don't buy them at grocery stores thinking you'll be careful. If you enjoy sprouts, only eat them thoroughly cooked. Stir-fried bean sprouts are safe because cooking kills bacteria. Tell restaurants to hold the sprouts when ordering. Check sandwich and salad ingredients carefully. Even sprouts grown at home pose risks because the seeds themselves may be contaminated. Remove raw sprouts from your diet immediately. This supposedly healthy food can land you in the hospital. Food vegetable, undercooked or raw. Seafood undercooked and raw seafood including sushi, sashimi, raw oysters and ceviche contain bacteria, viruses and parasites that can cause severe illness in seniors. The FDA publishes specific guidelines warning immune-compromised individuals, which includes everyone over 65, to avoid raw seafood entirely. Your stomach acid, which used to kill many harmful organisms in food, becomes less effective after 65. Your immune response to infections slows down, giving bacteria and parasites time to multiply and cause serious damage. Raw seafood can contain Vibrio bacteria, hepatitis A virus, norovirus, and various parasites that your aging body simply cannot fight effectively. The Mayo Clinic emphasizes that foodborne illnesses from seafood cause disproportionately severe outcomes in older adults. The infections from contaminated raw seafood can cause everything from violent gastroenteritis to liver damage, bloodstream infections, and death. Vibrio bacteria, commonly found in raw oysters, can cause septicemia, bloodstream infection, in seniors that has mortality rates exceeding 50%. Parasites from raw fish can cause prolonged diarrhea and malabsorption that leads to dangerous weight loss and malnutrition in older adults. Research from Johns Hopkins shows that seniors hospitalized with seafood-related food poisoning have significantly longer hospital stays and higher complication rates than younger patients with the same infections. What seems like an elegant dinner choice can become a life-threatening medical emergency within hours. Xavier, an 82-year-old from Florida, ate raw oysters at a restaurant and developed a Vibrio infection that required immediate hospitalization and intensive treatment. He nearly died from what he thought was a harmless appetizer. Here's what you must do. Only eat seafood that's been thoroughly cooked to an internal temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Avoid all sushi, sashimi, ceviche, raw oysters, and any other raw or undercooked seafood. When dining out, ask how seafood is prepared and specifically request that it be fully cooked. Fish should be opaque and flake easily. Shrimp should be pink and firm, and oysters should be cooked until their shells open. If you're served seafood that appears undercooked, send it back. Don't take chances thinking one bite won't hurt. Your immune system at 65 and beyond can't handle risks that might have been fine when you were younger. Order only fully cooked seafood from now on. Raw seafood is simply too dangerous after 65. Food 5. Deli meats and hot dogs. Deli meats, hot dogs, and other ready-to-eat processed meats are frequent sources of listeria contamination that causes severe illness and death in seniors. The CDC tracks listeria outbreaks carefully and finds that deli meats account for a significant portion of cases, with seniors representing the majority of deaths. Unlike most bacteria, listeria grows even in refrigerator temperatures, meaning your cold cuts continue becoming more contaminated the longer they sit in your refrigerator. Lunch meat, ham, turkey, and hot dogs can all harbor listeria even when they're properly refrigerated and appear perfectly fresh. The bacteria contaminate these products during processing and slicing, which is why even products from your grocery store deli counter pose risks. The danger is that most people eat deli meat cold, straight from the package, giving the bacteria direct access to your system without any heat to kill it. As discussed earlier, listeria causes severe bloodstream infections and meningitis in seniors, with mortality rates of 20 to 30%. The Mayo Clinic specifically warns older adults that ready-to-eat meats are high-risk foods that should either be avoided or heated until steaming before consumption. Many seniors eat deli meat sandwiches regularly, thinking they're making convenient, reasonable food choices, but each cold sandwich poses genuine risk. Research shows that simply heating these products until steaming hot kills listeria, making them safe to eat. Bernard, a 77-year-old from Michigan, regularly ate cold turkey sandwiches from the deli and developed a severe listeria infection that hospitalized him for 2 weeks. The source was eventually traced to contaminated deli meat. Here's your specific solution. Heat all deli meats and hot dogs until they're steaming hot before eating them. Use your microwave to heat deli meat for 30 to 60 seconds until it's steaming. Then make your sandwich. Boil hot dogs until they're steaming hot before eating. If you're at a restaurant or someone else's home where you can't control preparation, avoid cold deli meat sandwiches completely. At home, buy smaller quantities of deli meat and use them within 3 to 5 days, heating every serving before eating. Never assume that properly refrigerated deli meat is safe to eat cold. It's not, regardless of how fresh it looks or how carefully you've stored it. Start heating all deli meats and hot dogs today. Eating them cold is gambling with your life. Thing 1. Public restroom surfaces without barriers. Your immune system after 65 makes you far more vulnerable to infections from bacteria on public restroom surfaces. Research from Johns Hopkins on bacterial transmission shows that public restrooms harbor antibiotic-resistant bacteria that cause urinary tract infections, skin infections, and gastrointestinal illness. Toilet seats, door handles, faucet handles, and other surfaces in public restrooms are contaminated with bacteria from hundreds of users. While younger immune systems typically handle this exposure without problem, seniors develop infections from these same bacteria at much higher rates. The National Institute on Aging warns that urinary tract infections in seniors can rapidly progress to kidney infections and bloodstream infections that require hospitalization. The problem compounds because many seniors have underlying conditions like diabetes or take immunosuppressant treatments that further weaken their ability to fight infections. Bacteria you pick up from public restroom surfaces can cause UTIs when you touch contaminated surfaces, then touch yourself. They can cause gastroenteritis if you touch your face after touching contaminated surfaces. Studies show that antibiotic-resistant bacteria are particularly common in public restrooms, meaning infections you develop may be difficult to treat. Simple exposure that causes no problem for a 30-year-old can hospitalize a 70-year-old because of the dramatic difference in immune response. Ramona, a 74-year-old from Texas, developed recurring urinary tract infections that her doctor eventually traced to bacteria commonly found in public restrooms. After implementing strict hygiene protocols, her infections stopped completely. Here's what you must do. Every time you use a public restroom, place toilet paper or a disposable seat cover on the toilet seat before sitting. Use paper towels to touch all surfaces including flush handles, faucet handles, soap dispensers, and door handles. Wash your hands thoroughly with soap and hot water for at least 20 seconds. Use a paper towel to turn off the faucet and open the door when leaving. Carry hand sanitizer and use it immediately after leaving any public restroom. Never touch your face, eyes, or any part of your body until you've sanitized your hands. These precautions take seconds, but dramatically reduce your infection risk. Use barriers in every public restroom starting now. Your immune system can't fight infections the way it used to. Thing 2, soil and gardening materials without gloves. Soil contains bacteria, including tetanus, clostridium, and various fungi that can cause serious infections in seniors. The CDC and Mayo Clinic both warn that direct contact with soil poses infection risks, especially when you have any cuts, scratches, or breaks in your skin. Your skin becomes thinner and more fragile after 65, meaning you develop small breaks in your skin more easily, even from activities that wouldn't have caused injury when you were younger. These tiny breaks in your skin provide entry points for soil bacteria. Your immune system's reduced effectiveness means infections develop faster and spread more readily. Many seniors garden without gloves, not realizing that this pleasant activity exposes them to genuine infection risks. Soil-borne infections in seniors can progress rapidly from minor skin infections to serious cellulitis, bloodstream infections, and even sepsis. Tetanus, while rare, remains deadly in seniors who haven't maintained current vaccination or who develop infections from soil exposure. Fungal infections from soil can affect your lungs if you inhale dust while working with dry soil. Research shows that seniors who garden without protective gloves have higher rates of skin infections than those who consistently wear gloves. The infections often start as minor-looking redness or swelling, but can rapidly progress to require hospitalization and intravenous treatment. Leonard, a 79-year-old from North Carolina, developed a severe cellulitis infection on his hand from a tiny scratch he got while gardening without gloves. The infection spread rapidly and required hospitalization and several weeks of intensive treatment. Here's your gardening safety protocol. Always wear sturdy gardening gloves that cover your hands and wrists completely before touching soil, compost, or any gardening materials. Keep multiple pairs of gloves so you always have clean, dry gloves available. Inspect your hands for any cuts or scratches before gardening and cover them with bandages before putting gloves on. Wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water immediately after gardening, even if you wore gloves. Keep your tetanus vaccination current by checking with your doctor. If you develop any redness, swelling, warmth, or pain in your hands or arms after gardening, see your doctor immediately rather than waiting to see if it resolves. Buy quality gardening gloves before your next outdoor work. Unprotected contact with soil can cause serious infections. Think 3. Hospital and healthcare facility surfaces. Hospitals and healthcare facilities harbor concentrated populations of dangerous antibiotic-resistant bacteria that pose serious risks to seniors. The CDC reports that healthcare-acquired infections, including MRSA, C. difficile, and other resistant organisms, cause thousands of preventable infections annually. When you visit hospitals for appointments, procedures, or to visit someone, you're exposed to these bacteria on doorknobs, elevator buttons, waiting room chairs, and other surfaces. Your weakened immune system after 65 makes you particularly vulnerable to these infections. Research from Johns Hopkins shows that seniors who contract healthcare-acquired infections have significantly worse outcomes than younger patients because their bodies can't fight resistant bacteria effectively. The bacteria in healthcare settings are particularly dangerous because they've been exposed to antibiotics repeatedly, making them resistant to standard treatments. When you develop a healthcare-acquired infection, it may be difficult or impossible to treat with regular approaches. These infections can turn deadly quickly in seniors. Studies show that simple hand hygiene and avoiding unnecessary surface contact dramatically reduces your risk of acquiring these infections during healthcare visits. Many people don't realize that you can pick up dangerous bacteria even from brief outpatient visits. If you touch contaminated surfaces, then touch your face or eat without cleaning your hands first. Wilma, a 71-year-old from Indiana, developed a serious MRSA infection after a routine outpatient procedure. Investigation revealed she likely contracted the bacteria from contaminated surfaces in the facility waiting room. Here's your healthcare visit protocol. Carry hand sanitizer and use it immediately after touching any surface in healthcare facilities. Use hand sanitizer or wash your hands after pushing elevator buttons, opening doors, sitting in waiting rooms, and touching any surfaces. Avoid touching your face while in healthcare facilities. Don't eat or drink until you've thoroughly washed your hands or sanitized them. After any healthcare visit, wash your hands thoroughly as soon as you get home. If you're hospitalized, ask all healthcare workers to sanitize their hands before touching you, and keep sanitizer at your bedside to clean your own hands frequently. Sanitize before and after every medical appointment. Healthcare facilities harbor concentrated dangerous bacteria. Place 1. Crowded indoor events during flu season. Crowded indoor events from November through March expose you to concentrated levels of respiratory viruses that can hospitalize or kill seniors. The CDC publishes data every year showing that seniors account for the vast majority of flu-related hospitalizations and deaths. When you attend crowded indoor gatherings during flu season, you're exposing yourself to influenza, RSV, and other respiratory viruses from dozens or hundreds of people in enclosed spaces with recirculated air. Your immune system after 65 responds more slowly to these viruses, allowing them to establish serious infections before your body mounts effective defense. The Mayo Clinic warns that respiratory infections in seniors frequently progress to pneumonia, respiratory failure, and death. The problem intensifies because many people attend events while contagious, either not realizing they're sick yet or minimizing their symptoms. You can contract viruses from people standing near you, from surfaces everyone touches, and from simply breathing recirculated air in crowded spaces. Research from Johns Hopkins demonstrates that flu and pneumonia together are among the leading causes of death in Americans over 65. What might be a week of misery for a younger person can be fatal for a senior. Hospital systems become overwhelmed during flu season, with seniors suffering respiratory infections contracted at holiday gatherings, religious services, concerts, and other crowded indoor events. Dolores, a 73-year-old from Minnesota, attended a crowded holiday party in December and contracted flu that progressed to pneumonia, requiring hospitalization and weeks of recovery. She nearly died from what started as a festive social gathering. Here's how to protect yourself during flu season. Seriously reconsider attending any crowded indoor events from November through March. If you must attend, choose smaller gatherings. Ensure good ventilation. Keep visits brief. Avoid physical contact like handshakes and hugs, and sanitize your hands frequently. Sit away from anyone who appears ill. After any event, wash your hands thoroughly and avoid touching your face. Consider virtual attendance for holiday gatherings and religious services during peak flu months. The temporary social limitation is far better than hospitalization or death from respiratory infection. Reconsider attending crowded indoor events this season. Respiratory infections kill thousands of seniors annually. Place 2. Petting zoos and farm animal areas. Petting zoos and farm animal contact areas harbor bacteria including E. coli, Salmonella, and Campylobacter that cause serious illness in seniors. Johns Hopkins researchers warn that direct animal contact and even environmental exposure in these areas poses infection risks that aging immune systems can't handle effectively. Animals shed bacteria in their saliva, on their fur, and in their waste, which contaminates everything in the environment. Even if you don't touch animals directly, you're exposed to bacteria on fences, gates, and other surfaces everyone touches. Children typically recover from infections acquired at petting zoos after brief illness, but seniors can develop life-threatening complications from the same bacterial exposure. The CDC tracks disease outbreaks linked to petting zoos and agricultural fairs every year, consistently finding that seniors who become infected suffer more severe illness than younger victims. E. coli infections can cause kidney failure in seniors. Salmonella causes severe dehydration, requiring hospitalization. These infections progress faster in older adults because weakened immune systems can't contain the bacteria effectively. Studies show that many people who develop infections from petting zoos didn't even realize they touched contaminated surfaces or didn't understand the importance of thorough hand washing immediately after any contact with animals or animal environments. Marvin, an 83-year-old from Iowa, took his grandchildren to a petting zoo and developed severe E. coli infection, even though he didn't directly touch any animals. He likely contracted the bacteria from contaminated fence surfaces. Here's what you need to do. Avoid petting zoos and farm animal contact areas completely. If you must go to support grandchildren or for other compelling reasons, don't touch any animals, fences, gates or surfaces. Carry hand sanitizer and use it immediately and frequently throughout your visit. Don't eat or drink anything until you've washed your hands thoroughly with soap and water away from the animal area. Change your clothes and shoes immediately when you get home. The joy of seeing animals isn't worth the infection risk your immune system can't handle. Skip petting zoos or use extreme caution. Animal contact areas harbor dangerous bacteria. Place 3. Buffets and all-you-can-eat restaurants. Buffets and all-you-can-eat restaurants pose food safety risks that can hospitalize seniors. The FDA and CDC have documented repeatedly that buffet-style service creates conditions where food sits at unsafe temperatures for extended periods, gets contaminated by multiple diners touching serving utensils, and allows bacteria to multiply to dangerous levels. Hot food that sits below safe holding temperatures becomes breeding grounds for bacteria. Cold food that warms up allows bacterial growth. Serving utensils get contaminated when people use them incorrectly or when children touch food. For seniors whose digestive systems and immune responses are compromised, these conditions create genuine risks. Food poisoning from buffet meals causes the same severe dehydration, hospitalization, and potential complications discussed earlier. But buffets are particularly risky because you're exposed to multiple contamination points. You might eat food that's been sitting too long, food contaminated by other diners, or food that was cooked improperly initially. Research shows that restaurants with table service where food is prepared to order and served directly have significantly lower rates of foodborne illness than buffet-style establishments. The money you save at a cheap buffet isn't worth the risk of serious illness when your immune system can't fight infections effectively. Beatrice, a 78-year-old from Nevada, developed severe food poisoning after eating at a buffet and required hospitalization for dehydration and gastroenteritis. She couldn't identify which of the many foods she ate caused her illness. Here's your restaurant safety plan. Avoid buffets and all-you-can-eat establishments completely. Choose restaurants with good health inspection ratings and table service where food is prepared to order. Check health department inspection reports online before trying new restaurants. Order food fully cooked and served hot. If food arrives lukewarm or appears improperly stored, don't eat it. When eating out, choose established restaurants with good reputations rather than taking chances on unknown places. The slight inconvenience and extra cost of better restaurants protects you from infections that can land you in the hospital. Evaluate restaurant safety before eating out. Buffets pose too many contamination risks. These 15 warnings aren't meant to frighten you or restrict your life unnecessarily. They're practical precautions based on documented medical evidence about how your immune system and body function after 65. You can't handle the same exposures and risks you could at 40 because your body has fundamentally changed. Smart avoidance of dangerous foods, contaminated surfaces, and high-risk environments keeps you healthy and independent. Start implementing these precautions this week, beginning with the ones most relevant to your daily life. Which of these 15 things surprised you most? Comment below and tell me which precaution you'll start taking immediately. Knowing what to avoid could prevent your next hospitalization. If you know a senior who needs this critical safety information, share this video with them today. This could genuinely prevent serious illness or save their life. And if you want more practical health and safety information for seniors that could protect you from preventable problems, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss important information that keeps you safe and healthy.